Alrighty, next up on Game Chat, we have none other than probably the one person you associate the pink color with. You may have seen his trousers floating around the Twitch platform, maybe on YouTube, maybe on TikTok. Who knows? Maybe a YouTube short, any which way. Who knows? Maybe you follow him on Facebook. I don't know. Anyways, from a farm kid from Kansas, right? A
Simple.
simple farm kid
Simple
from
farm
Kansas.
kid.
Is that the saying?
Simple
Did I
farm
butcher
kid.
that?
Yeah.
There we go.
Simple's an important part of that.
Yes, very, yeah, very much so. Pleated Pants, welcome to Game Chat. Thank you very much for coming on.
Hey, this is awesome. I'm looking forward to the conversations. The videos that you've done before this have been fantastic. So I hope you make me sound as good as you've done all the others.
We'll talk
Of
to the
course, of
editor.
course. And yeah, exactly. All thanks to the editor. And just so everyone knows, Pleated kind of helped establish that us this whole thing with us. So I mean, maybe in the future we'll have Pleated doing some of the interviews. So we'll have like a little rotation here. But today, or maybe we'll interview Bear or myself. You know what I mean? Flip the roles, so to speak. So we'll definitely have some involvement down the road. But so far, so good. This should be the fifth one that is being released over on YouTube. But let's dive into Pleated. Pleated has been around since right around TGC 19 to 21 days, a little bit before, at the start of the quarantine, let's say, since most of us, right around the same time as Bear and myself, and integrated himself with the community based on recommendations from Chewman. What led, was it Chewman in real life or people in real life? What led you into streaming? What got you into streaming or content creating, I should say?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And I came prepared with stats. The first time that I show up on Twitch Tracker is June 18th, 2020, which is a couple months after your first one, Kilbride, which was April 13th, 2020. And Bear came from Mixer, so I don't know when he started the Mixer thing, but he started Twitch just about a month after me. So we're all basically right here at the same time. We started at the same time, and I think that it's fair to say that number one thing is I was bored out of my mind. I'm a natural extrovert. I would find myself places all the time, traveling to concerts, seeing friends, just going out and grabbing a beer with people around town. And all of a sudden I was stuck working from home with nothing to do. And I was sitting around with two of my buddies that we'd have a Friday night quarantine date, we called it. Most of the time it was outside on the patio. And they were like, "You've been really loving this golf game. Like, and you have all the equipment. Why don't you go ahead and just start doing it?" And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should, because I guess maybe I should fast forward. I should rewind a little bit more. I've been on Twitch as a watcher for a long time. Initially got into it because I basically taught myself how to replay Magic the Gathering through Twitch, then started finding my old roots of sports games and followed people like Mills, Jugsy Siegel, Jers, and luckily Chewman11. Mills rated him one day and I instantly kind of got a vibe from him, and I basically hung out there ever since. Well, this golf game, TGC 19, was $15 on the PlayStation Store sometime in that April, May, June timeframe. And me, Schumann, Baffle 99, and Gabias 22 said, "Let's get it and let's play it on Chewy's stream." So we did, and we had an absolute blast. Got to give credit where credit's due. Baffle and Gabias beat Schumann and myself that day. I think I could take him now, maybe. But then it just came natural. Like, I was like, I like this. I like talking about golf. I like playing golf. Why don't I like drinking beer? And I can do that while I'm playing video games on the internet. And so I thought, let's just try to do it. And why not?
And So one funny story about the start, right? You mentioned my first stream in golf was like April, and yours was June or so, and Moose and I were right around the same time frame. We both, I had known Moose before the golf game because we had played NHL together for years, and we somehow got into talking about doing this golf game, and started streaming, and you know my first experience with Twitch was like, oh, this is always like, I'm thinking it's competitive. It's always competitive. And Moose and I are poking around the directory, and we both come across your stream. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then we watch more. I'm like, this guy stinks. This guy stinks. We can take this guy. Look at this jackass. And then all of a sudden, these more followers come in, more followers. I'm like, this stream is fun. You taught me how to have a fun, casual time. And I'm not saying now about your abilities to golf, but at the end of the day, you know, it's about enjoying yourself, having a good time, having that conversation. You really introduced me to Twitch and what it's all about. So I want to thank you for that. And, I figured that was a little nugget that I could throw in there. And Moose, I'm sure it'll appreciate it because we had several conversations as we were watching you the first few times. I'm like, why are so many people liking it? And why am I still clicking on it too?
Because I'm just a goofball that saying stupid things over and over again. And at that same time, I knew I had something going on when I was lurking in your stream one day, and you made a nice little 2-putt par, and you said it was a ho hum par. I was like, oh. Maybe these dumb catchphrases might be making some traction. And that's really what it is. I created the bar that I would normally be at. I created the concert venue that I would normally be at on a different platform, and I treated it really like that. I always wanted it to be a community. I didn't want it to be necessarily about me, even though my name's on, the marquee. I always wanted to be about community first. I always wanted to engage. We're doing this jackwagon thing where, maybe about 10 of us were playing in it at the end of TGC Tour 19, and we just thought it was fun. We were having a good time playing with friends, just like Respawn said in the episode that you just posted. He started because he was having fun playing with his friends, and that's what we were doing too. Some of those first ones, Baffle played a jackwagon with me. Gonzo played a number of jackwagons with me. It was just, that's all it was.
Where do I start with you, Dad? So I think out of everyone that I've met, talked to, shared discords with, you are one of the best with the numbers, and you are also one of the worst with the numbers. And I think what's going to be really beneficial for people to hear, you look at analytics more than anyone within our friend group. Talk to a younger streamer how not to let it completely engulf them.
Yeah, numbers
in
are
golf.
hard in golf. God, unintended. So I have to say that I come at this answer from a really privileged position. For some reason, like, I didn't have the growing pains. I did that first sort of stream that got me on Twitch Tracker on the 18th of June. I was affiliate by July 4th, and I was filling out my first partner application by the middle of August. So this is like, remind yourself that I didn't have the struggle that a lot of people did, but I also had the benefit of having a Mills and a Jers and a Jugsy and a Chew Man who already had communities that knew me, that, when they saw the golf game come out, that they were, hey, Pleated streaming this. Let's go see what he's all about. So numbers matter. Numbers matter, but not while you're streaming. While you're streaming, what matters is your engagement with all the people that are there. 0 people to 150,000 people. You have to act like you are performing to the entire world, because you really are. I would suggest turning off the viewer count. I would not stress about ups and downs while you're streaming. Be yourself, be genuine. People will come back. But after you stream, you got to ask yourself a few things. Why am I streaming? Why would someone come and watch me on the directory over anyone else? And so that's the next thing that the new streamer has to think about. What do you want to do? Saturdays were terrible for me. I assumed weekends would probably be bad, but you know, I had the day off. I wasn't doing anything. I might as well stream. Well, you know what I did? I started making these leaderboards that basically said, hey, people, I want to show the world how you're playing at computer golf. I gave them a reason to show up, and they started showing up. And so that's where you have to use numbers. You have to use numbers to figure out what you're doing is right, and then being able to pivot if you don't see results. Now, where I'm really bad at numbers is that I don't do a Discord message every time that I go live. I don't have a tweet that does that. I don't tell everyone when my YouTube videos go out because I personally don't like it. And so I do a lot of things on my stream, like I don't have a donation button because I don't feel right having a donation button. So a lot of times you listen to Stream Dad, right? But then there's other times that you just have to know that some of the things that I'm doing are not optimal, and I'm doing it because it's what I want to do rather than what's right.
It'll probably be important for people to realize that I'm going to refer to Pleated as Dad multiple times because a lot of these questions and conversations we've had over the past year of help me see the light, and that's why I put sunglasses on. The light he has is so bright.
When I noticed that my numbers kept going up through the 4-hour mark into the 5th hour mark, but then went down at 5. For me, in my community, at my time, 5 hours is a sweet spot for me to stream. If I'm doing it optimally, that's what I'll do. I'll stream from 6 to 11. I'll go raid a friend, and I'll get to bed at a reasonable time.
And super long alerts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The longer the better. Especially if you can chain them when multiple people are following all at the same time. So it takes like 30 minutes to get through them all.
Yeah. We talked about the duration and how golf is the perfect stream game with C-mount in our previous episode, and put the alerts in, make it a full hour round. But is there any one game that you find that you like to stream or create content on the most?
Ooh, so I like things about all of them. So for golf, I love that it can be like a really casual, just pretty relaxed, get it, put your rounds in, talk about golf, BS about what's been going on throughout the week with all the community. And you don't really have to put all that much brain power in it because I'm not as good as you two. Right? Like I'm playing it to drink beer and have fun, and that's really about it. Like I hit my sort of peak as being a fairly high challenge circuit player, but I was never going to be a pro tour player because I went into the world of variety streaming or variety sports streaming. So like golf is probably the most fun. It's also probably the easiest. I think baseball's the most rewarding because I just love baseball. I love the game. I love how it's set up. I love that I don't have to worry about setting up an event. I don't have to worry about head-to-head play with the community and people, getting their feelings hurt and stuff. I can just go out there and try to be good. But I can't figure out long-form content for it. So it's kind of stuck in this really weird area. I can do long-form, short-form streaming content for golf all day long and have spend all of my time. But personally, I think I'd probably get bored at that, and that's why I have to branch out into some other games.
NBA 2K? Watch the old guy get his shot back? Is it coming?
NBA 2K has been a lot of fun to play with the community. I don't think that I want to Um, I don't think I'm a fragile, delicate human being. I don't think that I could take the critiques from the community about how absolutely awful I am at that game.
You deal with toxic people that come into your chat. It's one of the most fascinating things I find. So you've explained to me a little bit about your theory. Explain to someone who hasn't heard this your theory on when toxic people enter your chat.
Well, so you guys know that when you hit the go live button, there's going to be people that their day is just to try to make someone else's day bad, right? And who knows what that's what's causing that? You know, it could be a mental illness, it could be like an emergency going on in their life, it could just be because they're young and they don't know any better, right? And so one thing that I always say is that everyone's allowed to have a bad day. And I don't want to judge a single person on one single interaction. I think that everyone gets a chance to not be perfect. We all get the chance to have emotions, good, bad, indifferent. And as a result, if we're actually a really kind, inclusive, and caring community, like we care for the trolls with just as much as we do the person that comes there every day. So I do a little rewind. I give everyone a chance. I try to diffuse the situation with some laughter. I'll make some dumb sound about let's just start this over with. I might spin around in my chair and say, all right, let's start this over. Instead of saying that Pleated Pants is does not know who his biological father is and is obese. Let's say, hey, hi, Pleated Pants and community. How are you guys doing today? I bet we're going to have a better interaction. And it's all like, you know what? Let the person have that one chance. And if they misuse it, then we ban them. Like, and I've had to get more hardcore with that too over the years.
In your case, it's usually a half dozen chances. I remember a few occasions recently, it was just comical how many chances that you
Well,
give people. But at the same time, it circles back to, your kindness, and it's almost like entertaining for other people in the chat as well, like seeing that interaction. It's real life coaching as well. And, it's part of the reason that Bear alludes to you as dad. I feel like you were a great real life coach for all of us. So take that for
well,
what it is.
thank you. I appreciate that. And I guess maybe the one last thing I'll say is that I have a shorter string for the person making insults. I have a little bit more kindness for the person that might be streaming to 0 people and are coming in and saying, "Hi everyone, I stream." You know, there's a little bit of a learning curve that you get. Like, you know what you do? I don't care if you're streaming to 0 people, raid me after you're done. Guess what? I know you're a streamer then. And you know what I'll probably do? I'll probably check out your stream the next time I see you on. What I won't do is if you keep coming in and saying, "Oh my God, I got 0 people watching me. Can you raid me?" Or, "People, will you follow me?" You know, I'm gonna give you some grace. I'm gonna try to point you in the right direction because you know what? Streaming's hard. Streaming's really, really hard. And the people that want to do it, you know, there's a lot of them that stop doing it pretty quickly, and maybe it's because they never got a someone to try to tell them how to do things, quote unquote, the right way.
Yeah, I mean, we're learning tons on streaming here, and I think that's kind of what we'll focus on, really. I mean, it's growing the channel, as you mentioned earlier, it's moving from it's how you get from that early stage to nearly partner status within 2 months. And not many people are afforded that opportunity, that luxury, and have that success. And you've really outlined a great roadmap for all of them. In the coming years, I guess, are you still seeing Twitch as the primary platform for live streaming? There's a lot of changes ongoing. Um, you know, obviously YouTube has a massive presence, but it's not as well received in a live stream platform, I would say, at least for me personally. Do you see the two platforms coexisting or something else interfering at all? And if you were brand new streaming to this day, would you still start out streaming if you were a live streamer on Twitch?
Yeah, I think I still would start on Twitch, and I'd tell everyone right now that that's probably still the best place to go. Now, there's a lot of people that have been preaching doom and gloom of Twitch for a long time, but they've been a resilient company and they've been doing things that shows that they're paying attention. They're giving us multiple opportunities and different ways to monetize ourselves. They are redoing some of the ad incentives. They're adding the sort of super chat functions, and they still do a lot of things better than YouTube could ever do. Are they perfect platform? Absolutely not. But they are, I think, the de facto. If you say that you're a streamer, I think most people are going to tell you that, oh, so what's your Twitch handle? They're not going to say, well, what's your YouTube channel name? Because streaming video games on the internet is still a Twitch thing. Um, so I think that, like, I got close to 4,000 followers on at Twitch. I got 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Both of them, all intents and purposes, are great numbers. I don't know why that I would lift and shift my community that I have created in Twitch into YouTube unless people are coming with dollar bills. Right? Like, let's be honest. Like, if YouTube made me, which they never would, an offer that I couldn't refuse, then maybe that lift and shift might be worth it. But there's been other people that have done it, and the recent one that I can think of is Digital Champion, and he was having some success over there on YouTube, but he ended up saying that he missed his community, he missed what he built. Like, we built something, and I think that everyone that creates, and I don't care how many people that you have in your channel, you've created something, you've built something, you should be proud of it. And there has to be a real convincing reason for you to cut that off and to go stream on YouTube or some other platform. Now, YouTube's doing some interesting things. If you can get like 10 million short views in
Saw that.
90 days, you can become a partner there too. So they're given the shorts a path to partner along with the long form content. And, so I think that there's room for both. Hey, if you can handle multi-platforms, that's two different platforms and two different community bases that you can pull from that could cross-populate and help you grow both.
We've had a lot of discussions on PGA Tour 2K23, and it has even invigorated the excitement out of Rob Lobster, believe it or not, to the point where he might buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're getting it. Obviously, well, not obviously, but from our discussions, the Jackwagon is going to be continued, so we'll have that society playing forward. What are you most excited about in PGA Tour 2K23? Is it the player archetypes? Is it just kind of the new people incoming potentially, or what do you think?
I'm looking forward to being excited to play a golf video game again. I have watched almost no content surrounding this new game. I've been in sort of a really stagnant sort of mental space when it comes to creating content. And you can take a look. I've streamed 5 times in September, which, sometimes that would be, a week. And so I needed some time to kind of refresh. And one of the things that I did was completely sort of distance myself from the content creating stuff in general. And just this last sort of week, I've been working my way back into thinking about what content strategy is and what I really want to do. And I think, and I'll break this here first, I think that I'm going to reinvigorate the YouTube page. I'm going to make sure that I stream golf 2 days a week. But I'm going to throw in a community night, and I'm going to throw in sort of like a flex day so we can do Bespoke Football League things. We can do anything else that needs to be sort of done inside of the community at large. But this is going to be a grindy golf game from the little things that I've seen, and I better have enough time to be able to grind it. And I also want to really see if we can grow the long form content as well as the streaming content.
So with the Bespoke League, for those who do not know, 4 Madden leagues, or is it 5 this year?
It was 5 last year. It's 4 this year. We run 16 users on each of the leagues. They're fantasy drafted, and we play 2 games a week. And it's been a lot of fun. It's made Madden fun for a whole bunch of people. We've tried to do things inside of the Bespoke League for baseball, for Battlefield, for FIFA, that have just never really kind of hit. But we got the pillars. We got the Jackwagon Golf Club, and we got the Bespoke Football League, which are the 2 sort of big community things that we are like evergreen in the community.
Do you think that's more on the game or sort of the availability of the multiplayer of the game?
It can be both. It really just depends. Sometimes it depends on how good the game is in any given cycle also. I think we got enough people in Madden that we can make it fun even if the game's not fun. But in some of the other things that we don't have that sort of critical mass of people. And so it's real easy for stuff just to slip unless I be a real stickler of a commissioner. But that's not what this is all about. We're here to have fun. We're not here to me pester you to play your games.
And for those who aren't familiar, it's, correct me if I'm describing it incorrectly. Bespoke is just the perfect, in my opinion, competitively casual gaming experience where you can kind of go in like you're going into a chat with your buddies. Like, you're not grinding, I need every MUT card, or I need this, and I need to do all these glitch plays, so to speak, and doing anything I can to win the game. No, you're going there to have a good time, play it as it's supposed to be played, a normal football game, or whatever game style it is. And football, it has really, I didn't buy Madden for 5 years. I loved Madden. It was my #1 game growing up. I specifically purchased it on 3 consoles last year just for this league. That's how much enjoyment I had. I'm only on 1 this year personally, but I really look forward to if any of these other ones take off. Now, I know it's kind of, as you alluded to, the availability, the game style for FIFA and whatnot, and whatever every other ones. But I think that's one of the greatest things that you have built is the Jackwagon and the Bespoke League, the foundation that you have set. And of course, Bear, link, is it Pleated Pants? No, BespokeLeague.com.
Yeah, like I got a whole bunch of stuff that's sitting in there in placeholders, but BespokeLeague.com is the landing page too. The whole idea of the Bespoke League is really that we can play games as a community together in a non-toxic, safe, fun, and caring and kind environment. Something that people said you can't do. Well, we've done it in Madden. So if we've done it in Madden, we can take on anything, right? What I did is I've always tried to minimize myself in the stream and make it more about the community. That's why the community name is the Bespoke League. It's not like the Pleated Pants Trouser Club or something. It's specifically something that we've created that we can all be proud of. And it's starting to come to fruition. We got people creating their own content on the side for the Bespoke League, overlays on streams, content that they are constantly updating on the Discord channel to keep the engagement alive between all of the different members. It's really special. And I'd be really remiss if I didn't say that I'm really proud of what that I've helped create here, and hope that it keeps going, because we got some really awesome people that are a part of this community and doing really, really cool things.
It's building the legacy. And I think it's, when we first started the idea of Game Chat, I think you had a great vision for what it could be. And I think that's why, like, looking forward into some of the future, What do you see what do you see game chat evolving into?
I think that the sky's the limit. Like, so, to be completely honest, I had this idea of doing something similar to this 2 years ago, never the right enough time. I had it branded Between the Pleats.
Clean the
But
pleats. Okay.
yeah, Between the Pleats, play on
I got
between
it.
the sheets.
Yep.
So if you have to explain it, it's not really a good joke, I guess. But I think that the sky's the limit, so I think that this sort of conversational area where we're drilling into like one person talking about their sort of background, their origin story, some of the things that they see about streaming, I think that's awesome. But think about having it more like a round table. Like, WWE has that like table for three. Well, what if we had like, three, four, five, six streamers all like chatting about, some topic like overlays and sound volumes and statistics on what that matter and don't matter. Like, I think that would be a really fun back and forth. I also think that we could then turn it into just playing the game. Like, we could just all talk about, like PGA or MLB or whatever game and just say, hey, like, let's do a little deep dive into this game and what we think about it. Because there could be some person that comes in here and says, oh, look, we got these 5 people they're talking about PGA. I didn't even think that existed. Like, this looks kind of fun. I think that there's a lot of different things that we can do and that we can iterate under a fairly broad umbrella of game chat, because we can go the game route, we can go the chat route, we can go the combination route.
One thing I must say, and it's clear and obvious if you've watched any of Pleated streams, you are a man of many jerseys. Many, many. The man is addicted to sports apparel. Let's put it like that. I think he's going to put his hand up and say, yep, rightfully addicted. Wearing the Kansas City proud, even though Bears Guardians have clinched the division. What is your
Don't you look
favorite...
at the camera that way.
What is your favorite jersey or apparel that you own? And is it even something that you wear? Maybe it's something you have framed or whatnot.
Nothing framed. Like, I really sort of believe that, with shoes and jerseys and hats, you buy them to wear them. Actually, I think one of the favorite things that I have is actually sitting here.
Yeah.
Ooh, 79.
Cowboys, throwback.
Oh, very nice. That's pretty sweet.
Can you talk about some of the struggles when you go into maybe those content ruts, how you kind of work yourself out of it?
Yeah, like it's kind of different all the time. Like, when I started streaming, I had a plan. Once I started seeing some traction in the channel, I said, we have this game release. I want to make sure that I'm close to the top of the directory. So then when all these new people are going to come in, that they're going to come see me, and I'm going to have the start of building like a really special community. I had plans. I was thinking through. I was spending an exorbitant amount of time making all of the different artifacts and trying to tweak everything to be perfect. And for someone that was in pandemic shutdown, that was exactly what my brain and my heart and everything in my body needed. Well, like, it's a marathon and it's not a sprint, and the game dwindled, and we were left with our awesome base of our community, right? And that awesome base of the community has been pretty much steady throughout the entirety of the whole construction of this cycle. But inside of there, sometimes there's really hard times that you have to struggle to figure out what you want your next direction to be. And for me, if I don't have a direction, I'm going to have a really hard time motivating myself to press the go live button, because if I don't have a goal, even if it's a trivial one, what am I doing it for? I could be doing anything else. So what I always have to come back to is, what do I find important? and it's a balancing act. And so the balancing act is anyone that ends up getting 100 people on their stream for a couple nights in a row think that they could become a big shot, and that the balance of a hobby and maybe career start to go this way. No, it'd go this way. Waiting is some hot, you're like, oh, maybe
Yeah.
there's something here. What if I really dig in deep? And I've dug in deep a few times and I flicker out because it's really, really hard. And so then it comes back more to a hobby. And then when the hobby side of it starts to tip the scales and it's a little bit heavier over here, like I start thinking, why am I even doing this? If I don't have some sort of goal, why don't I go out and try to be a good golfer again? I could do all kinds of different things. And so for me, is finding that balance that's teetering in a healthy level in both. And if I ever start going too far in one direction, that's when I find myself sort of mentally shutting down. It's when I find myself struggling to create content. And I think that most content creators have that because at the end of the day, we're all deathly afraid that all this stuff that we've done will just poof and go away in an instant. We have the most amazing imposter syndrome than you can possibly imagine. Um, I've streamed 5 times in September. I'm scared the next time that I hit the go live button. Be completely honest with you. But then you know what happens? Godfather and Rascal say cheers within 2 minutes. We got 25 people BSing, people coming back and asking if I'm okay, and then everything's cool, and we just go back and we do our merry thing.
Oh man, one thing we've gone into a little bit with everyone thus far, and we never really dove into it too much with you. We dove into your beginning streaming part.
Mhm.
When did you kind of get into gaming? Was gaming always like a major part of your life? And getting to know you over the past few years, it's clear that you are a variety gamer. It's not just sports games either, even though you mainly stream sports games. The Elden Ring, the Lost Ark, or whatever sort of game. Is there one particular gaming moment or origin story with gaming for you that took place?
Ooh, so Atari 2600, first gaming console.
Wow.
We played a lot of Asteroid and, those sort of games. And then, so never had a Nintendo, had friends that had Nintendos. I had a PlayStation of some sort that I remember playing college football game on, but where my gaming really, really peaked interest and I got really into it was a golf game on the computer called Lynx 386, which turned into Lynx LS, which turned into Lynx LS 2000. And that game was my introduction into highly competitive, organized leagues inside of the internet. There is a website called golfcom.com that a friend of mine named John Parsons started and ran. We had a launcher that zipped up information from the game and you emailed it into a server and it put everything and populated onto a web page. This was 1996.
That's
And
crazy.
it was amazing. I still have friends that I play fantasy football with to this day from that community. We ran Ryder Cups. I did a different sort of content even when I was in college for them. We did an interview show where we were actually calling people long distance for a while, doing interviews. I had a contraption that had a tape recorder inside of the circuitry for the phone to be able to record our conversation and then be able to post it as an MP3 on the website. We were doing all kinds of fun things, and that's what really got me into gaming. We're just playing Quake and Doom and all that stuff around the same time too, but nothing ever got me like golf. And that's why when this game came out and kind of bit me back, it's like I like this. Like, I can get deep into this. This reminds me of back in the day when we were doing the golfcom.com stuff.
It's almost like that was the original content creating too. You were recording it on tape and having the files go everywhere. Whether or not it was you were kind of involved in knowing what took place, whether it's submitting your score like a scorecard or like,
Yep.
that's the origin of having a third party TGC tours and, that sort of thing. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and there are a couple different ones. Golfcom was the one that we played in. There is one that a guy named Joe Mellors in UK ran that was called, like, I think just the LS tour. Like, there's well, we were, in a lot of ways, we were kind of forerunners. There was a head-to-head ladder system on a website called Cases Ladder. We were building the things that we wanted the game to have, just like we're still building the things that we want the game to have. It's just, 25 years later.
Now you said Lynx LS and all the iterations of it, and obviously you're into the golf games now. Did you completely miss the boat, like myself and probably Bear as well, on like TGC 1 and 2? Like, is it just that bad of poor marketing by them? Or
I played them. I played them,
you did?
but
Okay.
it wasn't. I wasn't a part of the TGC community. Like, that was kind of the big miss, I think.
Gotcha.
Was I knew about online societies, but I didn't know there was this entire world behind it. And I think, oh yeah,
I bought TGC at 19 on the Xbox when it released. It sucked, and I played it for about 2 weeks and quit. Went on to something else. Probably was playing Skyrim or The Witcher or something. Then picked it up on the PlayStation, not even remembering that I bought it on the Xbox. And, we all know what we found there is it just plays so much better. And me and Chewy and Baffle and Tobias had so much fun that it made me start streaming it.
So if you would have stayed on Xbox, we never would have had that.
That's right.
Like a broke
You
boy.
were there instead.
Oh, God. God, now he's going to go back in time and make sure he never turns on his PlayStation.
I don't know how you handled playing on Xbox for so long, and were relatively good at it.
I didn't know any better. Like, it was, again, I'm curious to see. I probably had a disgusting amount of time, and this is starting to turn the interview around, so we're not going to do this, but I played those golf games so much and I enjoyed them, and it was fun. And then all of a sudden when you're meeting other people and they're like, wait, you're on Xbox? I was like, yeah. They're like, wait until you get a PC, or wait until you try this on PlayStation. I went, oh, okay. Just ran so smooth.
You know what could be a really fun show that we just all sort of jammed on is our first times that we met different people. Like, I think that could be kind of fun. Like, we could do like a who's who list down and say, like, when's the first time that you met Killer Bees?
Yeah.
Why don't we just get a random spinner and you could just sit there?
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Just go, all right, load a bunch of names on. What was your first experience? Because
hopefully you know the person, right?
Yeah,
even then,
that's what editing is for. But I find it really funny to say, what was your first impression of Hemo?
So the first time,
I wish I remember. I don't even remember mine, but
I know mine because it was the Pleated Pants top 10, and all of a sudden it was the guitar clip that had audio cut out, and I go, wait, audio cuts out? And I'm like, who is this this guy, like that seemed pretty cool to like be entertained. So again, there's so many that would probably turn back and be like, well, I found him through Pleated, or I found him through, you know, this raid or that raid. Like just the raids have made all of that so interactive.
Well, so that's why we might want to actually curate it, because like Bees was one of the first people that came into my channel. I had no freaking clue who he was. He talked with me for about 15 minutes, said that he had to go, and then someone else that was in the chat was like, "You realize that that's like one of the top 25 best players in the game?" I was like,
Yep.
"Okay."
And he's nice about it. He's not like certain people that'll walk in and try and set them up and, you know, be asking like, well, how would you hit this shot? And it's like, aren't you one of the top golfers in this? It's like, oh, so you know, oh shit, like you caught me. Or whoever would do something like that.
I don't know who would do something like that.
Oh God. I'll have one final question. We'll leave it on the becoming a streamer thought, because I feel like we've dove into some good conversations on that front, and you know you've really dialed in on a couple of different platforms and touch base. You know, you hear about consistency, you hear about setup preparation off of actually doing your content, right? If you're talking to someone who's little to no experience in it and wants to dive in today, and you know, regardless of platform, I think it can be kind of a broad message. Is there one thing that trumps another in your eyes, as far as, you know, where you would start?
Yeah, so you get to make a choice. You can either be a character or you could be yourself. And you know what? There's a lot of people that do a really good job being a character. Jugsy's one of them, right? Like, you know, all with the name and everything. It was planned out. He has content that specifically goes with it, and he is that person when he's streaming. Or what most of us have to do that aren't that creative is be yourself. Don't try to be something that you're not, right? Like, I'm a simple farm kid from Kansas. I don't get the words right all the time. There's going to be times that I stumble over myself and I say something dumb. I'm going to laugh at myself. I'm going to move on. That's because that's me being myself. Too many people end up trying to think that they got to be like something. They got to be the best player at the game, or they got to be the most fun, or they have to be really outlandish and being silly caricature of themselves. But no, like, just be yourself. Figure out who you are, figure out what you want your content to be, and make content that you have fun making. That's something I think everyone said in all of these. But just be yourself. It'll make it so much easier. Have fun. Like, for 99.9% of all of us that hit a go live button, this will be nothing but a fun hobby. Maybe remember that, and just be yourself.
Absolutely. I think that's probably very important. Think of it at, it's a hobby, right? So I mean, don't ever go in the mindset that's going to be anything different. I mean, even if you really do have that crazy aspiration of making career out of it, not that it's the most outlandish aspiration, but you know, it's like making the NFL, right? You know, if you want to be on the career, like there's a lot of time and dedication and whatnot, and you know, think of it as a hobby, enjoy it, and you know, be able to go play flag football games when you're older, theoretically, right? And just have a good time with the guys, or softball games, maybe a better comparison.
Grateful Swan is a perfect example of what you have to do to be able to do this full time. For the 2 years prior to him quitting his job and going full time, he basically worked 2 full-time jobs. He was working his office job that he had, but then he was doing all the TikToks all the time. He was doing the YouTubes all the time. He was doing the streams all the time. And that consistency, that dedication, probably a little bit of luck and, you know, some elbow grease got him to the point where he could make the choice that he could go do this full time. But it took multiple platforms. It took more dedication than most people would give. And only at that point, he got to the point where he could say, I could do this full time.
I love you, and I missed you all September. I'm glad you're back.
I love you too. I love all of you guys. I love the entire community here. To be completely honest, at the end of every stream, I tell everyone that I love them, and I absolutely 100% mean it. You know, we help each other through the good times. We celebrate our successes. We'll console each other on our failures, and everything in between will be here for each other. And that's what a community is. And if, you know, like, I'm lucky to have you all in my life.
Thanks, Pleated, and thank you for coming on. And to end it on that note, as you would say, be more kind, my friends. Be more kind.
Frank Turner, check him out. Great musician. I've been trying to decide on how just random weird and snarky and crazy this goes, you know, or if we try to make it somewhat I feel like the rest of them, like,
I
guess I'll let the editor decide.
I fucking hate the editor. He's such a dick.